So this is actually a true story from my life, and it happened in the year of 1980. And I was teaching in a middle school outside of the suburbs of Washington, D.C. And it was a school that had a lot of children of military, because it was a lot of military presence right around D.C., as you can imagine. And they had just started busing some inner city kids out to these suburb schools. So there was kind of a clash, as you can well imagine. You've got kids wearing super expensive tennis shoes and kids who aren't. Anyway, like I said, I was in a middle school, so this was supposedly 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Well, I had one class and a young man in it, actually several young men in it, who had failed many times. And back then, 37 years ago, they would actually keep you back. And he was around 16, even though he was in 8th grade. And he was way bigger than me. He was also African American. And I had been warned when I started teaching that to just leave him alone, that his parents were very angry, and if you slightest provocation, they would sue the school, et cetera, et cetera. This was a public school, by the way. So I caught him cheating on a test one day, and I hadn't quite decided what to do about it, so I took him out in the hall. Well, he started getting very, very angry and shoved me up against the wall and kept me there, and was just yelling at me like an inch or two away from my nose. And I'm just like really freaked out. None of the other teachers, everybody shut their doors, because you've got to remember people just didn't get involved. And the principal, I was way at one end, the principal and vice principal way at the other end, so nobody was hearing. And I'm just going, God, what do I do? And I've always known enough that you don't engage bullies, you don't engage in that whole belittling thing. So I said, God, what do I do? And just really quietly, God just said, tell him that you love him. So I just said, David. He didn't hear me. He's just like, And finally said, David, a little bit louder. He still didn't hear me. He still is ranting and cussing. And finally I said, David. And he goes, what? And I said, I love you. And he said, I love you too. And he dropped me. And it was amazing, just totally amazing how it disarmed him. And I'm not going to say to use that in every situation, of course, but it was a lesson I never forgot, that just if something like that happens out of the ordinary, someone attacks you, someone's bullying you, someone's trying to get the advantage over you, always listen, always ask the Lord, okay, what do I do? What do I do? Because that's the quickest and surest way to disarm them and get you out of a situation.